So over the past couple of weeks, there have been whispers of Manchester United being interested in signing a Colombian central midfielder going by the name of Richard Rios. And if you guys remember correctly, we were actually also linked with him roughly this time last season. Because of that though, I've already got all of my notes on him from the Copa America last year, and I've also watched him a little bit at this year's Club World Cup. So I feel that I'm in a really good place to talk about him, so that's exactly what we are going to be doing today. Before that, if you could please subscribe to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. I'd love to hit 60,000 subscribers before the start of pre-season, so you could help. Now, when we talk about Richard Rios, we are talking about one of the most unique players currently in football. For starters, he's 25 years old, still playing in Brazil. Normally, when you are signing a South American talent, you sign them when they're really young and full of potential, and they're a bit of a wonder kid. But Rios, actually, in the wonder kid years, you know, at the age of 18, was not even playing professional football yet. He was actually still playing futsal. And I would say that is very evident in the way that he plays. When you watch this guy, he is someone who plays with a confidence and a swagger of a player who used to play 5-a-side, 6-a-side football, who used to get lots of touches and have to be a problem solver, a player that played under pressure and had to sort things out himself. He has all of those traits, and that personality really shines in the way that he plays. He wants to take responsibility on the ball. He wants to take the ball under pressure. He wants to entice the opposition, and he loves playing 1 versus 1 up against someone. He loves those little mental battles, but of course the physical battles as well. But for now, it's the mental battle that I'm interested in, because what we will see very often when we watch futsal and we see those players then come into proper football is this. Players that like to play with their studs on top of the ball. Now, it may not look like much, but this is something that we see all the time in futsal to try and attract the opposition player towards you. What you do is you put your foot on the ball and you're basically going, go on, try and tackle me, mate. You want the ball? Come and get it. And that works in 11-a-side football as well, because what it does is it entices the opposition out of position. When you put your foot on the ball like this, the opposition just feel that they can come and get you. They feel that they can come and take the ball off you. This is when Rios is then quite rude actually sometimes with the way that he sort of knocks it past them into the space that he has just created. So this is the space that he's made for himself now, and he then has the athleticism and the burst over the first few yards to drop his balance and then go past these players into these positions. We've got another example here. Studs on the ball. He's not even looking at the ball. He's not even looking at the opposition. He's just chilling on the ball. He then actually puts his other studs on the ball as well. So that is both feet being used here. Mastery of both feet with ball control is really useful. And you can see the effect again though. The opposition just see that situation and they think they can come and take the ball off you. But Rios is actually ready for them to do exactly that. It's what he wants them to do because he wants to go past them. So the second the opponent is off balance, he's going to knock the ball past them and then race into the space in behind. It's kind of genius. The other side of Rios' game, which I really like, is the responsibility that he takes in the middle of the pitch. In football, we will very often see a player sort of get stuck, where they receive the ball and they don't have an obvious passing option available to them, perhaps because they're being marked by the opposition. And then you've got a player rushing towards you and you get a little bit stuck. Some players don't like these situations. They don't like to be isolated on the ball. Rios is the complete opposite. And again, I think that does come from his futsal background, being used to 1 versus 1 situations where, again, it is about personality. It's about wanting the ball, wanting to problem solve. And not just problem solve, but actually almost actively seek these uncomfortable situations because he wants to take responsibility for progressing the ball forward for his team, particularly on the carry. He wants to take people on in the middle of the park. He wants to express himself, and it makes him a really entertaining player to watch. It's in positions like this in the middle of the pitch where for some this would be a problem. He doesn't have an obvious pass. He can't square it to his teammate because that pass is obviously going to be intercepted. But that doesn't bother him. It doesn't bother him. Instead, what he does is he quickly adjusts his balance. He knocks the ball with the outside of his left boot and just looks to go past these people. He relishes these opportunities. He just wants to take people on all day long, and he also has the forward passing capabilities as well to match, which is quite an interesting thing that we'll come back to in just 1 second. You can see him again in the middle of the park here. There is no urgency about the play when he first receives the ball. It's all very slow, very casual, almost walking football at this point. And so he takes responsibility. He goes, that's not good enough. We need to up the pace, up the tempo if we want to hurt the opposition. So he takes his first touch aggressively forward. The opposition come in towards him, but he's got the long legs in these situations to just poke the ball away from the opposition. His ratio in terms of his height, the ratio of like his torso length compared to his legs are really long. And in these situations, it's super useful because it allows you to just sort of prod and poke and keep the ball away. the opposition, again, they just about think they can get the ball, but then he nicks it away from them and takes it into the space that he has created, uses the outside of his right boot to control the ball, and is getting his head up looking for the next forward option. And again, we've got another situation here, fairly deep in his own half here, and actually under pressure from the opposition. One player relatively close, one literally up his back, but it doesn't bother him. Studs on the ball, use your upper body, your strong frame to hold the opposition off, and then look to spin into the space that you've created before then playing the pass. Now obviously you will have noticed throughout the video so far, I keep commenting on the way that Rios is controlling the ball and the part of the boot that he is using. And that's such an important thing for me because I feel that he can use pretty much every part of both feet. So he can use the instep, the inside of his foot, he can play passes with the outside of his boot, he can use the bottom of his boot, using his studs to control the ball, and even his heels, he can back heel. Now this might sound like a bit of a silly thing to pick up on, but a player that can deal with the ball with every part of the foot, controlling the ball with every part of the foot, is so useful in high pressure situations where, again, you are surrounded by the opposition or you don't have very long to react. If a player can rely on any part of the foot to get them out of a situation, it is going to propel their problem solving activities to the next level, and this guy possesses it. The only concern I really have for Rios on the ball is because he is such a good carrier, he almost sometimes relies on that too much. There are situations where he could be a progressive passer, but he doesn't tend to do that much. Instead, he will opt for the carry, and when he is looking to pass, I think he's a good long passer, for example, quite quickly spraying the ball forward. What I would just say with his passing is, and again, perhaps this is the negative side of futsal, is that he's not someone who's going to dictate the play. He's not a deep-lying playmaker at this moment in time. Maybe he could become that, but he's not a sort of regista that sits and holds in midfield and sprays passes left, right, and centre and penetrates the opposition with incisive passes through the lines. He's not that sort of player. Will he become it? Maybe, but he prefers to carry. Now we've seen already that on the ball, Rios relishes the opportunity to take on the opposition. He wants 1-versus-1 situations, he wants to battle people, he wants to engage himself in duels, and it's no different from a defensive point of view. This guy is a busy young man who wants to get about the pitch, play with an intensity, and, shall we say, make himself known. He doesn't mind the occasional big crunch and tackle on the opposition, but generally speaking, what he actually prefers to do is, again, use those long legs to nick the ball away from the opposition. So first of all, he's got a really good stride length, something that we were talking about the other day. It allows you to eat up the ground on the opposition in much less time, but he's also got good tackling technique. So what he will often do, if he is sort of initially caught the wrong side of the ball, as the opposition are looking to drive forward towards Rios' goal, what he will do initially is put the burners on. His acceleration is pretty good and he's got a good top speed as well. And then as he gets close to the opposition, what I like is that he uses his upper body and his lower body. So he will often use his arms initially to put the opposition under pressure, to throw them a little bit off balance. Then he will use those sort of telescopic long legs to poke the ball away from the opposition, and it makes him really good in ball recovering situations where you're tracking back towards your own goal and trying to win possession back. We can see it in a situation like this. He's not in a great position here, he's been caught a little bit high, but he's got the speed, and then the upper body contact, looking to be rough with the opposition, let the opposition know that he's there, try and put them off balance just a little bit so that then he can use the long legs. Look at the reach. The reach is insane to poke the ball away from the opposition without even going to ground. He does all of that while standing. So his legs almost have the reach of a slide tackle, but he's still standing. That's really useful to have in a central midfielder where, the busiest part of the pitch is going on. He can also do it out wide as well though, racing across into these situations. Again, what you can see is upper body initially, trying to put the opponent off balance, and then using the long legs to stretch across the opposition. He steps across the opposition player, and sometimes it means really easily he's just going to sort of ease them off the ball and take the ball away from them. Now this next situation is a little bit different. This is playing for Colombia, coming across the pitch toward the ball. This time he actually chooses to go with the legs first. Again, he's got the reach, he can step across the opposition, and then after that he uses the upper body, and you're going to see it here. He just sends this guy absolutely flying. Like, this guy goes tumbling to the ground. It's pretty easy. He then gets his head up and looks to play forward again. So in terms of Rios' profile as a player, he's a problem solver both in and out of possession. He wins the ball back well for his side, but also on the ball, he uses his body really well. This is a young man who, yeah, exactly that. He knows how to use his body. He knows the tools that he's got and he knows how to use them. In terms of his profile as a footballer, I wouldn't say he is a 6. He's not a solo pivot, a holding midfielder, because he's a bit too adventurous. Defensively, he likes to go chasing, he likes to go after people. On the ball, he likes to take risks and he likes to carry the ball forward. He's probably a bit more of a double pivot player. So he's not going to screen in front of his defence, and he's also not going to dictate the tempo with passing. But if you give him a role where sometimes he's got to do the defensive side of the game, sometimes he can express himself more on the ball, then I think you'd get a lot out of Rios. And realistically, the double pivot at Manchester United could allow that. I'm not sure that he's a Bruno Fernandes partner. I'm also not sure that he's a starter for United, but I don't think he would cost a lot. So for a squad player, I can certainly see why Manchester United are interested in him. But let me know now what you guys think in the comments down below. Based on what you've seen today, is this the sort of player that Manchester United need for the squad? Let me know what you think. But apart from that, I think we're finished for today. So thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.